I know y'all saw it in the media where the video clip went viral of Marvin Sapp in a church telling the ushers to shut the door while they take up a special collection offering of the 1,000 members in their mega church because he was trying to raise, I think, around $20,000 or $40,000 in one Sunday. And the clip went pretty viral because people was looking like, "Yo, what are you doing? You telling the ushers to shut the door while y'all raised $40,000?" Kind of felt like the people were being held hostage. Kind of felt like, y'all not leaving until I get my money. That's what it felt like, and that's what it looked like. So the clip went viral all over the internet, and Marvin Sapp responded saying, "Oh, y'all taking the video clip out of context." And, people in the comments talking about, yeah, you could tell who went to church and who didn't, and y'all don't know how it is with the offering. Basically trying to smooth over the situation like we didn't see what we saw. So I'm coming at this from a person who grew up within the church. I started going to church, Baptist church at 5. And then when I got older, we went to a non-denominational church. So I consistently went to church from 5 probably to about 22 consistently. Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Saturday training service, Wednesday Bible study, all the good stuff. And I have no qualms with anybody's church, anybody's denomination or theology way of thinking. But when millennials, I'm a millennial, when millennials saw this, the first thing we said is, this is why there was a mass exodus out the church, and they was writing about it over the last 5 years. You can look up the articles, millennials, mass exodus out of church. This is why. When that article came out, and then now when we see these video clips of these pastors in these mega churches holding their congregation hostage so they can swing the collection plate around the extra time. Talking about, it was for a convention. To our communities, let me ask you something. I want to think out loud. Do we need another $40,000 raised to host a convention with all the problems we're dealing with? Unemployment, lack of education, lack of jobs. We really need another convention where you raise $40,000? Again, this is why there was a max exodus for millennials and older millennials who left the church. I would say it had less to do with theology. It had less to do with what the preacher was preaching. That was a part of it, because certain millennials felt like the church wasn't being progressive enough, and I get it. But one of the main reasons was stuff like that. We're seeing all these churches taking this type of money from our communities, but we're not seeing the proper output in our communities. Church isn't feeling like a community. It's feeling like a messy place where we're dropping money in and going home on a Sunday. And again, you guys out there can miss me personally with the, well, that's not what church is really about. Again, I grew up in the church. Respect to everybody's religion, wherever church you go to. But there's 100,000, probably hundreds of thousands of stories out there like this. This ain't the only one. Marvin Sapp ain't the only one. And for him to try to downplay it saying, the video clip was taken out of context and, we was trying to raise money for a certain convention. And look, this is why there's a stain on church because of things like that. Just thinking out loud, you guys tell me if I'm wrong. For the millennials that left the church out there, what was your reason for exiting the church? Was it theology based, or was it acts like this with Marvin Sapp? Because we all have been in the church once or twice where they passed that collection plate around the extra time, and you like, yo, man, I ain't buy groceries this week. I'm kind of low on funds. And this is happening within all of our communities. Let me say this. For a person that grew up in the church, that traveled outside of state to go to church conventions as a teenager, that went to small churches, medium-sized churches, and so forth. I think if the finances was handled correctly in most cases, and I know there's going to be somebody in the comments saying, not my church. We do right by our people. We paid somebody's rent. I'm gonna get to y'all in a second. We paid somebody's mortgage. We helped somebody out. Because I'm gonna do the math in a second for all the people who think like that. we wouldn't have a problem seeing things like this, even from the medium-sized churches. It's not all about mega churches. I'm even talking about the churches that got like 100 or 200 members, because even those churches make money. Those churches sometimes is clearing $100,000, $200,000 a year. Let me frame it like this: if you're a member of a congregation, and that church you're going to is taking in, conservatively, as a medium-sized church, $150,000, $200,000 consistently for a 5 or 10 year period, and you look at that congregation that's taking in all that money consistently, and there are no jobs for the members, there are no daycare centers for the people at the church. Bless you, Ty. You good over there? Yo, my engineer is over there. Maybe me talking about Marvin Sapp is giving him the chokes, man. My bad. I'm gonna get off this topic in a minute because I don't want you to take out my engineer. He's very important. But back to the point: for the churches out there that's bringing in that type of money consistently for a long period of time, conservatively like $150,000, $200,000, and you look at that congregation, there's no jobs being outputted for the members in the community. There's no apartments for when you fall on hard times. That's a problem. And I'm saying that for the medium-sized churches. I expect that for the mega churches. That should be no question. Now let me touch on the people that's saying, "Oh, well, we paid somebody's mortgage." Let's do the math real quick. Let's say family A, the Johnson family, has been going to this church for 5 years. Let's pull up our calculators. We got our calculators at 0. So family A, the Johnson family, has been going to said church, and they give approximately $40 every Sunday as a family, the mother and father, or 50. Let's make it an even 50. Times that by 4 for the month. That's $200 a month. Times that by 12. So conservatively, that family will donate $2,400 to that church a year. Now imagine if they consistently did that for 3 to 5 years. Times by 5. That family has conservatively put $12,000 in the collection basket. So let's say the Johnson family, who has put $12,000 in the collection basket, falls on hard times. The father or mother loses the job and gets laid off, and now they're a month or two behind on rent. And the church says, "Yo, we're going to help you out. We're going to cut you a check for $5,000. Remember, they gave $12,000 in the collection plate. So now the church is doing a good deed and conservatively wrote a check for $5,000 to help the Johnson family out. With the context that I just laid, did the church really help the Johnson family out? Or is the Johnson family getting some of the money back that they put into that building? It's simple math. That's for all you people, "Oh, the church done paid somebody." The truth of the matter is the members are putting the money in that collection basket, practicing group economics. And every once in a while, it might need to come back to them to help it out. But what some of y'all churches do, "Oh, you got to go to the finance team and fill out a form. You got to let them know why you on hard times." And sometimes I heard some churches make the members pay the money back. Mind you, them, they family, they mother, they father, they grandfather, and everybody else been going to this church for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Them put tens of thousands of dollars in that basket, but when they fall on hard times, they got to pay it back. This is why the Marvin Sapp situation, with him closing the doors, collecting $40,000 in the collection basket, looked as suspect. Because it's bringing back those memories for those of us who grew up in the church. This is that black eye that left millennials leaving the church in droves. Just thinking out loud. Like I said a few minutes ago, if I looked out to some of these churches that are collecting this type of money, $10,000 a Sunday, $20,000 a Sunday, for those mega churches and medium-sized churches, if y'all could produce jobs or institutions, I think the numbers will go back up instantly. I'm just thinking out loud. Y'all tell me if I'm lying. For the millennials that left the church out there, check this. Let me ask a question. If you found out that there was a medium-sized church in your community and their theology and politics align with yours, and you found out that that church not just had good theology, good community, but because of their finances, they will offer jobs to you if you fell on hard times. Like you actually can get employed by the church. Would you not sign up tomorrow? Simple question. For the millennials out there that left the church for said reasons, if you find out that that church had good politics, good theology, their theology aligned with your beliefs, there was no funny business going on, but the added bonus is they were using the money correctly. They were producing jobs. They had daycares. Don't let me mention a scholarship fund for the actual members with kids, where the family don't have to pay it back, but you're constantly putting kids through college and trade school. Would you not sign up in droves to go to that type of church? I think we all know the answer to that. And I'm going to take it a step further. Situations like with Marvin Sapp and all these mega preachers and pastors and even churches that's doing that within our community. And I'm not saying all, because I know there's some that actually do good. I'm not trashing the whole institution of churches, but for some of them that actually operate like this, where when you sign up, they tell you, yo, you can't become a full member until you submit your financial paperwork, and they got to check your W-2s, and you got to sign off on giving 10% and all that other goofy stuff. For the churches that operate like that, if they were using the money correctly to build institutions within our communities, I think not only would the numbers go up, but we wouldn't even, I wouldn't say complain, but we wouldn't kind of look at it in a negative light. I wouldn't. But like I said, I'm just thinking out loud. That's my take on the Marvin Sapp situation with him holding the church hostage. And I'm going to go here with it. And I think I kind of cut off my own point. For the churches out there doing that, it kind of gave rise to the scammers in our community outside the church. Y'all know some of them running around in that quote unquote conscious community. You know, people building schools for 15 years, collecting millions of dollars in donations. Kind of sounds like the building fund, don't it? I'm not even going to say his name, because then y'all be all up in arms. Oh, that's, give the brother a chance. Dude been building that school since 2011. It's 2025. Not just him. There's other members. Y'all remember that conscious community dude? What's his name? Brother Polite. Y'all can look up Brother Polite. Polight. He's in prison right now. But he was running around scamming a bunch of people in the community. Yeah, that comes directly from what was happening in the church. And that's what they hit you with. What you coming at me for? You just letting your pastor get over on y'all for 10, 15, 20 years. That's where the whole Christian church to Christian to conscious community pipeline went. It wasn't just because a whole bunch of people got woke and watched Hidden Colors and all that goofy stuff. People left the church looking for something else and ran right into the same scammers they left the church for. Just thinking out loud. Hopefully Marvin Sapp get the picture, or he might not, because a lot of them pastors in that position, they continue to do what they do until somebody disfellowships them, and then they got to move to the other side of town and all the other stuff. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Marvin Sapp situation. I couldn't been in a church. You tell the ushers to close the door and pass the collection plate around to you raise $40,000. Somebody calling the cops, or like I said on TikTok, there would have been some pews moving in that church. Or in the parking lot, there would have been some cars moving. Somebody would have caught a fade. Y'all to disfellowship me and all that. You can raise $40,000 in a day, but my kid ain't got no money for college. Yeah, all right.